Welcome. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 tips for improving feedback. And most of my students would ask the question, but why? Let me address this question. This is a class about learning how to design experiments, and feedback itself is our process for becoming better at designing experiments. So if we make a plot, and let's put quality on this axis and time on this axis. Maybe the first experiment we do, we're just learning and the quality isn't so good, but we use feedback. The second experiment's slightly better. The third experiment is better yet. The fourth experiment is better yet. The fifth experiment, and you get the idea. The quality of the experiments grows exponentially with time, so it really makes sense to use feedback. The first tip I want to give you is when you're giving feedback, focus on providing knowledge. What you don't want to do is judge the person. Don't tell them they're doing a good job or a bad job. Let me give you some concrete examples. So here's some example of a good strength. You used 2 independent ways to measure temperature, and this is part of triangulation. This provides evidence that the temperature data you took can be trusted. And notice there's just information here or knowledge. There's no good or bad. Here's what you want to avoid. Don't tell someone they did a good job or a bad job. You built a good math model. If you give someone feedback like this, the immediate thought of the brain is, oh, my math models are really good. I don't need to improve or grow. I'll keep doing math models the same ways I've always done them. So giving judgment shuts off learning and growth. That's why we eliminate judgment when we're doing feedback. Tip number 2, focus the feedback on design of experiments. Don't give feedback on some other performance area like communication. So here's an example of what you want to strive for. And so in this example, this is an improvement. The feedback is state the actual uncertainty in your measurement, that is, quantify it, and let your audience interpret this uncertainty. So what you want to notice here is that this feedback is focused on design of experiments. In our no example, this is what you want to avoid. Team members talked over one another several times, so there's some interrupting going on. The key idea here, this is really about communication. It's not about design of experiments. And our purpose is to become better at design of experiments. So avoid feedback that is focusing on some different performance area. Tip number 3, when you write an improvement, tell specifically how to improve future experiments. Avoid telling the person what they did wrong or what you think of what they're doing. So in our yes example, the improvement is to summarize the key results of your experiment in the conclusions section of your report. And what you want to notice here is that this information is telling the person exactly what to do in the future. In our no example, the feedback is the math model is disorganized. So what do you want the person to do in the future? Do you want them to make a better system diagram? Do you want them to more clearly state their goals? Do you want them to more clearly lay out the physics? What exactly are you recommending that they do in order to improve? So in summary, 3 tips for improving feedback. Number 1, always focus on providing knowledge, useful information. Eliminate telling people they're doing a good job or a bad job, because this shuts off growth and learning. And we care about growth and learning. That's why we're here. Focus the feedback on one performance. In this case, focus the feedback on design of experiments. Number 3, when you give an improvement, tell the person specifically what they should do in the future. And you absolutely want to avoid criticizing them or describing what is wrong. Instead, tell them, here's the next steps for the next experiment that you do. The last thing I'd like to share with you is how to give great feedback. I've written down everything I've learned in the last 20 years of practicing feedback with thousands and thousands of people. And this is on the course website, learningfordoing.com/experiment design. And this particular diagram describes quality in feedback. And the 3 tips I was talking about today are in this diagram, and there's a great deal of additional useful information. So as you have time, you might want to check out this diagram, and again, it's posted at this website. That concludes this video. I hope you've learned some useful things. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next time.